Okay, if you watched my previous video, um, that video only had a greatest common factor on the numbers. This one also brings in the variables. And I kept the numbers the same, which was the 6 and the 15, just so you could remember that the greatest common factor between 6 and 15 was a 3. Because 6 divided by 3 is 2. Put my 3 down here a little lower. And 15 divided by 3 is 5. And of course, you know, when you're factoring out a greatest common factor, you're putting in parentheses here. There we go. Make some room. Okay, but now I've got variables. So what I have is an x to the 5th here and an x to the 2nd there. Now x to the 5th is really x times x times x times x times x. And x to the 2nd is x times x. Basically what they have in common is x times x, which is x squared. So the most I can factor out for the variables is an x squared, okay? Which means I have to divide by x squared. And hopefully you remember your exponent rules that says when you're dividing, you subtract your exponents. So x to the 5th divided by x to the 2nd, and I can actually come over here. You can see that this x cancels that x, and this x cancels that x. And what you're left with is x times x times x, or x cubed. And then here, x squared divided by x squared, anything divided by itself is really a 1. And of course, 15 times 1 is 15, divided by 3 is still the 5. So, my final answer, this is my answer. It's 3x squared times a 2x cubed plus 5. And if you want to make sure that you factored correctly, just distribute back. If you take your 3x squared times your 2x to the 3rd, the 3 times the 2 is a 6. And then x to the 2nd times x to the 3rd would be x to the 2 plus 3 is 5. There you go. Plus, and then take 3x squared times 5, and all you can do is multiply the 3 times the 5 and get 15, and the x squared goes along for the ride. And then when I look at this, it is the exact same thing that I started with, 6x to the 5th plus 15x squared. So when you're factoring out a greatest common factor, you're literally just undistributing. Okay? And I'm going to do another video where it's even more complicated because, you know, it's just not fun enough yet.